Morning. It is January 16th. This is, I think I'm doing R. This is the lecture for week 2 for statistical programming in R. And this is going to be probably fairly brief. The R content was not written by me, and it's pretty high quality, I believe. There are a couple things that need to be modified in it and get taken care of the next time around. But overall, I believe that as I was going through it and reviewing it and doing some high-level editing, I thought it was pretty good. So just real quickly, want to talk about some of the concepts we'll be hitting in this second week, and I'm not going to go into details on it. One of the first things we're going to talk about is that R covers, and this is in lesson 6, R covers data frames. So data frame is just R's terminology, I suppose, for basically a table. Data frames will be rows and columns, and that's just the terminology I choose. So we're going to have an introduction to those, how to read them in, how to create them, and just how to use some basic fundamentals of data frames. That'll move on to the next section, which is, hang on, getting there. Then we start getting to some statistical algorithms, some things that'll be used quite a bit throughout the rest of the data science course. First thing we're going to talk about is linear regression. Linear regression is just a method that takes a scatter plot and turns it into, well, what it does is it fits a line. So it's a way to develop relationships. For example, there is, trying to think what it was. I was just displaying something the other day where it showed on the x-axis, let me draw it out. So on the x-axis was the frequency of crickets chirping in hertz, which is cycles per second. And I think the scale was pretty small. It went like from 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5. But if you think about it, 4.5 chirps a second, that's pretty rapid. And it had like 70, 80, 90, 100. Anyway, it was a graph that kind of looked something like this. And then there were a bunch of data points. So somebody do a measurement and say, oh, that was 3.2 chirps and it's 77 degrees. There, that's that data point right there. And then later at a different place or somewhere else, did another one, was 3.8 chirps and that's 90 degrees. So now we got 2 data points. Okay, so get a bunch of data points. I'm going to just okay, so maybe that's, whatever, 100 measurements or whatever. I don't know how many measurements that would be. But it's kind of hard to do this without getting a bunch of reflection there, sorry. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of data points. Linear regression is the tool that is used to find the equation of the best fit line. And when I say best fit, it mathematically fits those data better than any other line possible. The usefulness of linear regression within statistics is so you can build models. And in this case, a simple model would be, hey, I've got a measuring system that can measure the chirping frequency, and I can use that to make an estimate or a best guess of what the temperature is. In that case, I would say, okay, well, I just measured some chirps, and they were at 3.6 chirps per second. So I go from 3.6, I go straight up. And boy, that is not a very straight line. I would go straight up from 3.6, and I would hit the regression line, then I would go straight horizontal. I would say, okay, based on 3.6 chirps per second, I'm estimating it's 84.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Anyway, something like that. So this is the basis of modeling that goes on throughout all of statistics, and this is the most simple form of it. But a lot of additional complexity. Anyway, lesson 7 in the R stuff talks about how to create a linear regression and some of the other things that are associated with that. Then we move on to lesson 8, which is a little bit about hypothesis testing and confidence intervals. Now we've touched on confidence intervals and hypothesis testing just briefly in the basic statistics course, and hypothesis testing is going to get some pretty rigorous coverage in intermediate statistics, which for you guys taking R, that's about the 7th class, and you're on the 2nd. No, I'm sorry, you're on the 3rd class, I guess. So it's several classes away still. But anyway, before we go into depth and detail on how exactly to do hypothesis testing and to set that up, you're going to see how to do the functionality in R. So that's a good thing to do there. Then in lesson 9, we get into some data exploration, and this was something that also will be covered in future chapters, but so we're kind of showing you how to do it in R now, and then let you turn you loose later on and do some pretty rigorous data exploration. Data exploration is just a fancy way of saying, hey, I've got a big, you might have heard the phrase data mining, kind of the same thing. Data exploration is a way to just kind of take some real high level peeks at what's going on and go from there. And then last but not least, there's a concept mastery exam in the last little bit. Oh, by the way, I want to tell you on that data exploration also, there's this tool that is referred to and used a lot. It's called the Gapminder tool. A guy named Hans Rosling, I think he's Swedish. In my opinion, probably the world's best data visualization, data explainer guy. He can make some stuff that's very complex, very interesting, and can dispel a lot of rumors. He actually, I think he died about a year ago. But until that point, like I say, he was I don't have idols, okay, but he was a guy that, gosh, I wish I could be when I grew up. Anyway, so there's some fun opportunity to work with some cool data there and learn a little bit about that. Anyway, I've told you this before, I'll tell you again, I am not the world's greatest user of R. So why are we using R in the data science program? Well, a couple reasons. Number one, let me back off that statement just a little bit. Most of the job openings I see out there for data analysts, data scientists, junior data scientists, they expect that you have some knowledge of R, or equivalent, basically is what they say, but most of them say R or equivalent. And so why do we do R instead of something else like SAS or JMP or SPSS? Well, R is open source, so it's free, whereas JMP licensing, I believe, is about $1,700 a year, which when you get working for a company that uses JMP, that's great because they pay the license, you don't have to pay it. But it's not very economical or practical for us to expect you to get an R license or a JMP license for this course. So having said that, that's kind of where we stand on that stuff. Anyway, ask questions. I can help you out a bit. Angelina can help you out a bit. I am getting better at using R. I'm working with it a bit, learning some things that I didn't know before. But the truth of the matter is, with these open source tools, the internet is your best friend as far as getting guidance and help, because there are a lot of people out there that use R, and there are a lot of people out there that will show you how smart they are and post stuff out there, and you have access to it. Some of it's great, some of it's not so good. So if you run into something, if you're trying to do, say, a logistic regression, which isn't covered in this chapter but will be later on, if you're trying to do a logistic regression and you type it in and something comes up and you're reading through it and you're just like, yeah, I'm not understanding this, throw it away, try it again, because there's a pretty good chance somebody else has got an explanation that's quite a bit better. Basically, the importance with all of these tools is getting data into the right format and then using the right calls and the right libraries to pull that stuff up. So anyway, that's it for this lecture this morning. I know it's pretty brief. We've only had 1 or 2 students complete the R course, so I don't know yet where all the potholes are. Angelina, the mentor, was helping me see a couple places where I probably could make some improvements. So in the process of making those, but they weren't really places where the curriculum was tough. There were more places where this data table is not really that accessible, so we got to make it more accessible. So we'll fix that and go on from there. So anyway, if you have questions about stuff like that, be sure and let Angelina or myself know, either through Slack or through email or through phone calls with Angelina. I usually don't get calls from students that often, but anyway, don't aggravate and struggle by yourself. Get some help with the things you need. Okay, have a great week. Work hard, and we'll see you soon.